Ladies and gents, welcome to the opening group set, or I guess technically not the first set in this group, but the opening series in Titans League Season 4 for some big names. In the blue, we've got Dark. Dark is 20 years old. I just looked it up. He's been playing competitive AoE. His first tournament result was 7 years ago, which is when he was 13 years old. I feel like he's underrated. No one thinks he's this young up-and-coming talent because he's been around a long time, but he's still got lots of youth in the bones. He's got great strategy. And on Team Fox, that has been much improved over the past year or so. He will look to survive in this group. He's playing as the Celt because he expected the Viper to go for the Cumans. Now, there was a little bit of mind games involved in this. Viper also had another Civ on his draft that he loves to play with, the Malay. But Viper did not pick the Malay. He picked the Cumans. And the Cumans almost always are dropping the second TC in Feudal Age, and Celts eat TC. Everybody knows by now, right? Like, that's kind of the thing with the Celts. Now, they don't have to. They could boom up towards late game, but even then, like, Celt late game could actually be fairly decent. If you can get to Hal Bonager, the weakness of Hal Bonager in late game with Celts is usually against Bombard Cannon Civs. Humans do not get Bombard Cannon, so I think Viper might need to tweak his approach. He might not be able to trust the 2-town center boom, and he might not be able to trust the late game of the Cumin. So this, obviously, pretty good matchup, I think, for Dark compared to what it could have been. Viper's probably kicking himself right now. He's probably like, man, if I would have gone Malay, I'd be so much more comfortable. But what happens with a bit of mind game here in the draft. So it's play all three. Just to repeat some basics, it's $40 per win for the players in Platinum. So there's lots of money on the line. That's potentially 15 wins in the group stage. Someone do the math. And then you have thousands of dollars in placement prizes as well, depending on where you end up. If you are first in the group, you get an immediate bye come playoff stage to the quarterfinals. If you're second in the group, you play a third place player from another group. If you're third in the group, you play a second place player in the other group in a round of 12 match. And eventually, just like any other tournament, there's the big grand final, right? Viper, he has won his group every single season. So regardless of his group, he's always been first. But he won the whole event one time, which was season number 2. He beat Hera, I think, 4-2 in the finals of season 2 Titans League. I think he lost in the semifinals in season 1. Vinchester ended up winning that season. And then Cubs season 3, Hera got his revenge against Viper in the finals, and Hera won. So we've had 3 different winners in TTL. We'll see if that's the case. Earlier, there was some chatter about Leary. Someone's like, this is Leary's turn to win. And I could see it. But we're pretty early on here, obviously, so. So Dark is walling up. And, like, if I were in Viper's position, I would maybe consider some Feudal Age shenanigans on the outside, because I'd be worried about the 2TC boom. But how deep are the mind games here, right? Like, because Viper shouldn't go 2TC boom, maybe he will, because his opponent thinks that he would never be gutsy enough to do it. The Dark, I think he's walling because he's like, it would be foolish for Viper to 2TC boom. He must go Feudal Age. But because of all that and the mental gymnastics, Viper's just going to go for the 2TC boom anyways. Which, I mean, if you pick humans, I think you just have to do it. Like, no one's like, whoa, the Cuban archer ranges are 75 wood cheaper. That's so OP. That's not really the conversation, is it? So full walls on the outside just in case from Dark. And Viper's scout's actually over here. And Viper just clicked his scout that direction. You can tell the pathing's getting affected. So that's because he's clicking in this area and his unit couldn't make it there. So Viper should know because of that his opponent's walled. But what's actually huge for Viper, he'll be in Feudal, so his scout will be faster. And he might be able to snipe Dark's scout. So actually, if Dark spots Viper's scout on the wall, he needs to hide this scout. He can't be losing that here. And this is fast castle from Dark, but I've said it before. I think if you wall this much and go up very fast, you're oftentimes going to find you just don't have the res to click up. Actually don't love this build from him. You can tell he's trying to adjust, get a few more villagers onto berries and whatnot. I don't know if he'll have the uptime. Viper Oh, dude, just missing that. That would be a free scout kill. But I doubt Viper's going to circle back to look for that. So Dark was in the dark. Imagine that. And there's the second TC for the snake. Oh, oh. Oh, man. Again, Viper getting really close to killing that scout. So there's 9 relics on the map. There's 2 relics in the northern area. There's 2 relics in the south. And then there's 5 relics in the middle. And the reason Dark even picked Celts on the draft was to somehow punish this. Or so I thought. Like, the other thing he could do, I mean, he could just try and take it to the late game. But if you do that, you're most likely going to just be outplayed in the mid game. Viper will have... If he is an uncontested boom, he'll have a crazy economy, flood the map with something, and you don't want to give Viper that much control. So, I was thinking this would be an all-in siege play from Dark, but now he's making a gate here, which makes me think he wants to have units on the outside, but he could just be doing this to save his scout. And it's pretty clear to me Dark is going to sell his stone. But he didn't sell all of it. He just sold 100. And he's up. Okay, so... I didn't think he could get up this fast, but he's done it. And Dark will definitely come to the middle here. Now, what does Viper do? Does Viper, expecting this, have a fast archer switch or a fast scout play for the middle? Dark will bring his scout forward. I'm sure villagers will follow. And here they come. Surigini, Burgundians are one of the best picks on this map. I was a little surprised Viper didn't pick them first, actually. So Burgundians are fantastic on this map. I do remember some games with Aztecs, but I think Aztecs also have some pretty tricky matchups. So, yes, Aztecs should be good on a map with 9 relics, but you don't actually see them picked all that frequently here. But Burgundians are picked all the time. We'll see them a lot on this map. Yo, Paganini, welcome. Salutes in chat. What's up, man? For those that don't know, he's a Brazilian player. I can't speak Portuguese at all, but he's a happy-go-lucky guy, and I've spoken to him before in English at least, and play him in ranked all the time. He's a good dude. All right, so Viper's trying to see, you know, what's going on out here. And Viper will see the barracks, and Viper should know now. Like, Viper just absolutely knows what's about to happen. He's got a big Vil lead. He's bringing Vils to come rush this down. And clearly Viper wants to try and put a stop to this. But can he? If this siege workshop gets stopped, Dark will be so disappointed in himself. This should not happen. Dark should be able to wall these villagers in. This should not happen. And crazy bold from Viper. He'll drop a tower there. But the siege workshop will go up. Now, what this might accomplish for Viper is this might just take... It might take a little bit longer now. Oh, Viper loses his scout. It might take a little bit longer for Dark to take out the TCs. But what this does also do to Viper's situation is this donates villagers to the cause. This is idle time from Viper. Viper loses a villager. And now, like, this is a target. And I don't think Viper can wall this in. And Viper still doesn't have a stable up if he was planning on going scouts. And Viper will see the ram now. Now, let's see what Viper can do with this. There's also a scorpion here. I'm not sure if the messiness is good for Dark or bad for Dark right now, right? It's just a crazy situation. Viper's walling so his opponent can't repair the scorpion right now. But there's another scorpion. And those villagers are super weak. The tower's now down. The villager's also still trying to get repairs. And this cannot be good for Viper. This cannot be good for Viper. And Viper, don't open the gate. Dark is holding the gate open. It's a whole door moment for Dark. And now the spearman will follow. The Vils could even follow. And the ram is chewing his way right through. Viper, what in the world, dude? Crazy. Now, again, what I said, right? It's like, if you are going to play against Viper in a group stage in TTL, the best time for you may actually be the very first round. Is, you know, he recently had a kid. He's got no pressure on himself. I'm sure when he looks at the group, he's going to think that he can be a little rusty at the start and be fine. It was a similar narrative in the past with some other players in that very first week, and I gotta say, Dark has played it well. That was an epic play. His opening has been fantastic here. His eco is in shambles. He's got a 2-farm food economy, but he's done a lot of damage so far. Now, he doesn't seem to... Okay, no, he does notice the scouts are there from Viper. So now he knows that Viper has scouts here. Viper's got 21 on stone, 8 on food, and 10 on wood right now. His eco balance is not what he would have wanted it to be, but Viper needs to find some opportunities to get some engagements in. And I guess he's going to aim to snipe any reinforcements here. Look how fast this TC is going down, though. Like, Viper might have a 16 villager lead. Oh, that's really good micro against the spearman. But that villager lead's going to disappear if these TCs go down. Now, oh, hold on. Hold on. Oh, Dark closed. The gate is closed now. Now it's open again. Viper's TC has been eaten. His scouts are going down. The villagers are rushing. What is happening to start off this series? This is crazy. But, dude, Viper's vills are just disappearing, man. They're just disappearing. Okay, the gate is closed. Is this okay for Viper? No, this can't be okay for Viper. Look at how many villagers he's lost. He's lost 21 vills. Easiest 40 bucks of Dark's life. No, I'm obviously nothing about this is easy. And to start off Titans League Season 4, Dark, he says, screw your humans. That was Viper's first pick. This is one of Dark's last picks. That's an epic start for him. And that's what I meant about the matchup, right? If you go 2 TCs against Celts, you could so easily be punished. I think it was a bit of a double mind game. I think Viper, like realistically on paper, what you should do if you're humans against Celts is you should play Feudal Age on the outside. I think that's what Dark was respecting with the walls. And Viper was hoping that Dark would expect that maybe he'd be able to put a stop to that. But Dark did a really good job. 23 villagers killed, 0 losses, 31 to 10 KD. Think about it this way. You play everyone in the group and play all 3. How many other players are going to get many wins off of Viper? This is huge for Dark. Long term. So, and now, look at these villagers. Look at them throw themselves back. Now, maybe the narrative with Viper start to change a little bit. If he doesn't win the next 2 games... maybe Viper will be put under a little bit of pressure. What is happening to her? Is she clutching her neck? I think she is. Man, these death animations are crazy. Well, props to Dark for letting us inspect the death animations. It's not something we get to do every day. There's the KD again. We'll move into game number 2. Viper did have a significant eco lead, but 15 extra villagers just ended up dying, and he never really had an army there. The spears were perfect. The Hodor moment with the gate was perfect. The Scorpions were also a great addition. GG. All right, here we are. So, okay, WDW says, you said 2-1 for Viper. Oh, I said 2-1 for Viper? My predictions? Let's go. Okay, well, Viper's rust is out of the way now. Now we expect utter domination, right? That was classic Viper first game of the day. Romans now for Viper. A very good pick. I almost expected this. But Dark has his very first civilization pick in the Chinese. I think the pressure will be on Viper now to get some damage done. A Chinese, a civ that I feel should be banned each and every time. If there's maps like this generating. We added additional bans for Platinum, so there's 3 potential bans. But one of the bans that Viper used was he banned Sicilians. Which is making me thinking maybe there's a strategy with Sicilians that we haven't seen a lot of. That Viper's maybe scared of. Map here is Rocky Forest. It's hard to have efficiency on Rocky Forest with the rocks blocking your buildings. But Romans have the 5% greater efficiency. And Viper finds as good a starting lumber camp as you'll find on the map. He'll push in the deer from the middle. There's a lot of hunts in the middle on this map. But we have yet to see anyone actually build mills there in Platinum League. Granted, it was just 1 game. Even in Gold League, though, I think I only ever remember 1 person coming out here and building mills to take the hunt. Players just don't want to send their vills that far. It's too risky. But when we did see that, it was with the Mongols, which obviously makes a ton of sense. But this is Dark's first pick. He's already up 1-0 over Viper. So this is a great opportunity for him to get 2 wins here. Res collected should be higher. Tech tree is definitely better for the Chinese. But if the Romans can get to... Well, Romans are kind of tricky, right? Because they can play kind of aggressive and all-in a lot of different ways with infantry and scorpions. But it would be very Viper-esque to maybe snipe a couple vills and then just go for a greedy boom. And Romans can definitely compete there economically. It's not like you can't fall back economically with this Civ. So we'll see. See how it plays out. Mongols were banned here, which is why Mongols weren't played. I forget some of the other bans. I think Georgians were also banned. And there's the lumber camp for Dark. He actually delayed his lumber camp significantly here. Normally, you'd see the lumber camp a lot earlier, but Chinese start with less food, and the weakest point for Chinese would be early feudal compared to other civs, so I think that's why he just delayed that. And just going to be a deer push fest. But yeah, if you have any questions, feel free to ask everybody. Welcome. We got 3 sets every single day. There will not be a single series, a single game of Platinum that we will miss. So if there's a certain series you kind of are excited for, we'll definitely be covering that. Is there any set that you guys are really looking forward to that we haven't seen yet in the first rounds? I said earlier, I think Hera Nikov would be very interesting. Because the last time they faced each other, Nikov beat him in Wandering Warriors Cup. Maybe a similar situation where Hera's a little bit out of shape compared to where he could be the first series. I think Doubt Sebastian's going to be absolutely insane. That is the second series of the day. I mean, there's just so many good ones. There's really not any bad sets, honestly. What do you think will be the surprise performing Civ of the season? Surprise performing Civ. Surprise performing Civ. Oof. I'm going to go Japanese, which, like, shouldn't be a surprise. It's a very old civilization. They're picked a lot, but, like, I think Japanese will have very nice win rate. But Celts did, yeah, Celts. Nah, Celts lost one as well. I don't know. Celts are 50% win rate, which I guess if Celts aren't played a lot more, it could technically be quite high. So it seems like a scout opening here. We have seen a lot of spear skirmisher builds, but I think that was because Byzantines and Incas are quite good at that. Dark is actually on gold, so if anything, this feels like an archer build. So he may be respecting man-at-arms. Because you can't wall in your vills, right? So this is one of the best maps for man-at-arms for that reason. Like, even here, they're going to try and wall, but there's still a gap for units to run through there. But you kind of control that area. You still create a choke point to fight back in, which isn't too bad. Vashta, what's up? Thank you for month number 5. T90, my question is, what about... Why am I even reading this? Never mind. Macho, why did you ask me about your tattoos, dude? We're talking about Age of Empires here. If you want input on an Age of Empires tattoo, though, I have 3,000 people that would love to give you input. I would recommend the supplies image. Maybe I should do that. That sounds like a dangerous sub-goal right there. Oh, God, why did I bring this up? Stable from Viper. Dark comes through. Pretty easy to find where your opponent is, too, because you just look for the opening in the wood line. He didn't actually see the stable. So he might still be worried that man-at-arms could be coming forward. Having not seen the barracks or the stables, kind of a big deal here. So there might be some paranoia. Viper will come forward and see the range and probably be like, huh, that's interesting. I don't know if this is something Viper thought about, but I think if you can, building your lumber camp near where your gold is huge, because you may eventually need to build a tower, and it protects both. Dark doesn't have that potential, but in return, his gold is very safe on the backside. And the first archer is out. Nice movement from Dark. He can't move out too far, though, because Viper will have scouts, so he'll back away. And Dark really needs to get that farming eco moving now. A Dark Scout will loop around to fight for the middle control. Viper should go for a range soon. To mix in a few skirms. But he's really relying on the farming eco right now. And he's getting his scouts out. And you cannot wall on the rock. So you really can't full wall this map. But you can still block off important areas. And that's what Viper will do. Viper's base buildup just looks super nice, right? Like, if you head over to Viper's base with an army right now, are you going to be confident running through those tiny little gaps? No way. It's so discouraging. Oh, man. Viper runs right into the spears and the archers. Horrible from Viper. I mean, that is just not something you expect. And he'll try his best to snipe a villager there, but Dark's too good for that. Nice save there from Dark. So every single scout that's still alive from Viper received a hit or two, and he lost a scout. Far from what he would have wanted here. And this is definitely like one of those results people are going to be showing up to, right? People maybe just arrived and they're like, what on earth? Not every day that you arrive to see a 1-0 scoreline. See how much respect Dark gives Viper here. Like, there's flags, there's a wall. Like, this is a position that a lot of people wouldn't advance into, and Dark is going to advance into it anyways. And here he goes. Now, the scout is killing off some of the skirms. The scouts are already kind of weak from Viper. The micro from Dark is actually fantastic here. This might not look that good for Dark in the end because they'll lose his archers, but, well, maybe it wasn't so good. But I actually do think that's a fine engagement. He killed a lot of scouts. He killed off a skirm or two. As long as he falls back with his own scouts now, which he does have already. It could still be in a very good position. This is what he wanted. He wanted Archer Scout. And Viper trying his best to micro down the Spearmen. His scouts are weak again. Skirms will advance forward without fletching. The fletching is in for Dark. That was a very good build from him to get to that timing. And still maintains a nice Vil lead. Nice micro from Dark. Dark is in great shape right now. He's in fantastic shape. His micro has been amazing. And remember, all you stat nerds out there, that 35 seconds of TC idle time is pretty much normal. These days, players are getting it down to 25 seconds, but that's back to the start. So it's not as if he's had any real slip-ups here mid-micro. That's just Chinese, right? But Viper's res collected, still within reason, considering he's up against the Chinese. And Dark's micro again, sniping that weak scout. Viper doesn't have a blacksmith yet, so he won't be able to snag any upgrades. And this is going to be a full feudal game from here. Both players are going to make a ton of army. We now have forging from Dark. And Dark's army is significantly stronger right now. This could be bad for Viper. If Dark moves forward right now, Viper could lose everything. The scout number is matched. There will be upgrades for Dark on both the archers and the scouts. Viper just needs a little bit more time. But Dark is not respecting him at all. We've seen so many times over the years where someone, they don't have confidence moving in, especially with the base layout like this. People do not believe that they can do damage against a player who is so good. And, well, it'll get interesting now. The scouts will come through. That's still open for Viper. The forging is in, so Dark will want the kills, but he needs his archers protected. And Viper's building this tower. This tower is such a good tower from Viper. And even with Bloodlines, I don't think Dark can advance through there. But Dark could still advance through here. So you can't disrupt Viper's Woodline or his gold, but this is still an opening for him. And you can tell Viper's also ramping up for a really heavy feudal age here. Even if Viper had walled the front of this, units could still path around the side. It still does feel like a bit of a wasted opportunity to not have had a house here. And behind this crazy economy for Dark, he'll have fully upgraded scouts. I think Viper will as well eventually, but he doesn't have bloodlines yet. He needs to wait for the golds. And still 0 villagers killed in this game, which obviously benefits the Chinese. Dark's like, I've had enough of this. I really need to make my upgrades worthwhile here. If Viper just got forging. There's been a couple instances here or there where Viper has to run away from farms, hop inside his TC. Dark still has to make a decision on if he wants to dive any deeper. It's risky, man. You might not make it back out. So on one hand, it's good because you could possibly find damage, but find damage where? The farms are around the TC. His micro's so good. And I think Dark's realizing, okay, we pulled Viper back. Let's head back over to the front so Viper can't surround us here. Dark's micro has been fantastic here. Look at that. Again, he's microing down the skirms. In so many instances where his archer micro has been perfect. And he's double stable now. He knows the only way Viper gets himself out of this position is with heavy army, right? Viper's now getting those upgrades. Viper will garrison into his tower. Is Dark actually going to dive here? This could be at the worst possible time because Viper's upgrades will be in. Or is it the best possible time? This is crazy, dude. How much is the tower actually helping? How much is going to die here for both? I cannot really tell. But this is maybe the type of engagement you need against Viper, because if you give him any more time, he's certainly going to use that time to the best of his ability. And Viper, he hasn't lost a Vil yet, but he lost all of his army, guys. And he went from 0 Vil kills, or deaths, to 6 deaths now. And who said that Dark was in the relegation zone come Season 4? Who said it? I think me. But I'm being proven wrong here. What a great opening, man. It just completely punished Viper. That's so good. Viper's lost 9 Vils. The scouts continue from Dark. And it was awkward. I wasn't even completely certain how that was going to go. But those are the type of engagements you want when you're up against a snake. And so far, Viper has just not been able to really get anything going in any of these games. The first game, he got his Vil lead, but then was immediately destroyed. This game as well now, it's like, now you're down 9 Vils, and there's still scouts in your base. You're just completely dead. Dark is up. What a performance from Dark. It's been so good. Like, okay, Viper, you're going to quick wall that Vil? I mean, that's still a horrible position for you. Dark snipes another villager. Look at the micro there from Dark. Luring the spears away. Pulling the scouts back away now. His micro is fantastic. What an opening. And he'll drop range now. So on the back of this scout rush, he'll have some archers too. And Viper hasn't even clicked up yet. Viper's about to be 2 games down at the start of Titans League Season 4. And sure, maybe it's a little bit of that rust, you know, but also how much of this is Dark coming in here at 110%. He had a confident approach game 1, confident approach now game 2. Actually, we need to hunt. We need to look and see, did Viper ever lose 2 games in a TTL group stage? I'm sure he did at one point. He was in groups with Leary. Oh god, counterattack. This is a big counterattack for Viper. I don't know if it's enough. Only killed 1 Vil. Will Viper play on when he sees Dark is in Castle Age? Still hasn't clicked up. Scouts still here for Viper. Dark will not want to lose any more Vils to this. Loses a second. Scouts are still active, and Viper, he drops the GG. Now, because I know Twitch chat, everyone's going to say, oh, he dropped the salty G. I'm sure, guys, he dropped the GG. I'll double check it in a second. It doesn't show up. If the game has already ended, he probably fixed it, but Dark up 2-0. Now, what I was expecting to say coming into today was Viper would maybe be up 2-0, and I'd talk about how important it is for Dark to snag 1 win, because getting 3-0'd in TTL could be very bad for you. Well, now that narrative is flipped. Viper needs to snag a win. At least getting a win will make him feel somewhat okay with how things have gone here. There's still going to be 4 more rounds for him. But what a performance from Dark. Again, it's been around a long time. 7 or 8 years now. Started playing competitively when he was 13 years old. He's 20 now. 2024 was a big improvement in his strategy when he joined Team Fox. It also is a lot more training with he Margugu, Mihai, all the others. These Fox players are dangerous, man. Now, regardless of what happens in the next game, the Dark will be feeling very good about this. All right, folks, game 3. It's crazy, man. Like, listen, we've seen so many times over the years how, you know, one of the best players in the world can come in a little bit out of shape, a little bit rusty, and they figure it out, right? They're fine. But you know, in Titans League, we've seen instances where Vinchester won the first season. He didn't come in great shape come season 2, and he got relegated out. Now, don't get too crazy here. Let's not say Viper's going to get relegated. That's too much of a stretch. But I love how it's good for the game if someone comes in super prepped in really good shape. They could take games off of and win against the players with the better careers. So I love the performance from Dark so far. It's very clear the training's paid off. Very clear that he saw this as an opportunity. Not that he was disappointed he had to open up against Viper. And now what will Viper do here on Evacuation Game 3? So you start off on this cracked terrain. You'll eventually run out of res here. And then you'll need to make your move to the outer area. There's fixed boar, deer, and berries there. There's also wood, goldstone, and whatnot around. And Dark has brought his scout forward rather early here. Early enough where it looks like he wants to steal a rhino or something. Or maybe stop the Dockville. Sometimes people will come out here to take this boar. So it almost makes me think that Dark brought the scout over just in case Viper was wandering back with the Vil. Dark should be able to take that cow if he wants to. Viper's going to be like, where's my cow, bro? I thought there was a cow there. Now, I like the Armenians a lot. I think I like them a lot more than Koreans because of the mule carts. And not only can you roll the mule cart around, which is helpful when you'll run out of wood pretty quickly, but it's also nice to have the mule cart because of the efficiency. And more specifically, the efficiency on upgrades. That's an Armenian bonus, so it's more efficient in how it operates, but it's more efficient because of the upgrade bonus. Viper taking this wood line, to be expected. No one is really walking out this far to build lumber camps this early. It's too inefficient. And Viper will probably dock the backside. And then we'll have Dark do the same. And yeah, we'll see how things tend to play out from there. Look at Dark, though. I mean, there's a bunch of different things you have to do with your scout, but this is a big part of it. If you can collect all these cows out here, feels kind of cheesy, but this is essentially something that you can do instead of scouting the front of your opponent's base. So it's like, do you scout for the dock? Do you scout for the barracks? Do you scout for the cows? Do you scout for the boar? You can't do everything at once. Ah, yeah, I see the comment now. Yeah, Dark times ahead for the Viper. Dark times ahead for Viper. I like it. I mean, I would say after this series, Viper will be thinking the dark days are behind him. I don't think dark times are necessarily ahead for Viper. I'll only start to panic for Viper after the second round he loses, but I look at all those cows coming in. Crazy. What's Viper's scout up to? Yeah, Viper's looking for his cow, dude. He's like, dude, where's my cow? Maybe checking to see what woodline options he has. Does he have a gold out here he can move to? Does he have a stone? But yeah, you could tell Viper's looking for some of the extra cows. Some of them have been snagged already. So the really confident players on this map will actually go galleys and usually switch into archers. Armenians could be really good at the galley approach. Koreans could also opt for that, but Armenians get the extra bolt from their galleys. And both players will be clicking up here shortly. Viper right now is cursing the map gen. He's like, "What? Where are my cows?" Well, your cows have been stolen. They've been heisted, my friend. And here comes his 5 Vils. I'd expect this to be for a lumber camp. Dark coming over, seeing Vipers on wood there. Think about all the things we've talked about with Dark Scout so far. Also saw those Vils moving. A pretty good understanding of where Viper could go, what Viper could be up to. And now he seems to be scouting to see what the dock situation's like. I kind of like not scouting the dock early because you know he's going to build the first dock. Now you need to know, will he build the second? Also, in the fog of war, you could see that deer carcass and no Viper is on hunt. But I actually think Viper's just going to build the lumber camp with those vills. Just in case there's one guy out there who doesn't know this, if you have food or gold or anything in your hands and you build a lumber camp, you do still get the food after it completes. But you can't take the hunt, click a tree, then you lose the food. It's the difference between the two. When I watch mid-elo and low-elo players, the amount of people that drop off their like wood even before they build a farm, because they don't know when the farm completes, you get the res anyways. It's pretty high. And oh man, Dark with the Dark Age spears now. Armenians can make spears. Does he go pikeman rush? You can actually get pikeman in feudal. I think just having a couple spears out of that barracks is still enough to harass with that scalp. Viper is cowless underneath his TC, by the way. And Dark is just hoarding the cows. Dark is looking for that, too. He wants to steal whatever he can. And now he finds a Viper cow there with his spears. And he kills the cow with the spear. And now Viper's under pressure. This has just not been the start that Viper would have wanted in yet another game. Super awkward. Dark is making life so difficult for Viper right now. Viper knows that could mean more trouble. And so triple house there from Viper to protect the vills. That should be protected. Viper's making fires out of his dock. So he'll move forward with that. And then he will need a range. But Viper has food problems. Like, look at the difference underneath the town centers. This is great preemptive thinking from Dark. He's even using the spearmen to kill all the extra deer near the mill. This is crazy, man. This is so good. To scout the area early to preemptively take those cows, as Viper was pushing deer. To now use the spearmen to take those deer because you know Viper's going to he's going to need a fallback. The only thing that could now be next level perfect from Dark is if he also just completely wins water. Super hard to do all of that at the same time. But I'm just seeing such a confident player here in the blue. Every decision he makes feels as though he's in the right. And now the galleys spot the fire, and he is microing this perfectly. What a start from Dark. I don't want to jinx the guy, but this is amazing. Viper will not kill any fishing ships here. And it's 2 dock production as well. I think Viper will end up losing water, but it takes a long time for those galleys to get those numbers up and to find that payoff. So this gives Viper time to transition. He did also find a couple cows. He is also on the berries. He actually even took the boar. That's really smart from Viper. So he's still got plenty of food to recover. And thus far, we've only had 1 kill in the game. It was just that fire galley, but there go the galleys from Dark. And Dark was later to the archery range than Viper, just ever so slightly. Or maybe the timing was similar. But either way, that would be the big thing for him now, is can he also manage the land? And will he take this? He still hasn't moved out here himself. So that's an interesting aspect. Typically, you're seeing that already. Viper will drop another dock. Dark is getting fletching. And Dark just has to be careful here. Viper will have a second fire here soon. I think Viper will need to leave with those fish. But again, managing galley micro is so much more micro intensive than fires. Viper could just patrol in. And now maybe there you see the slight result in that. Viper sniping the scout. I think a really confident player who's practiced a lot here will stop at like 7 galleys in feudal and prioritize everything else on land. I think if you just get the most out of 6 or 7 galleys, again, this is only if your skill, if everything's perfect, which is so difficult to do, I think it could work really well. Well played from Viper. That was all a result of the fact that he pressured this side. Again, really liking Viper's transitions here. Now he's adding farms. He has ranged units. He is fletching on the way. He still hasn't lost any fish, and Dark is just now coming out here. If there's one thing that Dark maybe could have used a bit more of, it would be a mill on the outside. That's a lot of food he didn't collect. And sure, eventually he may win water this way, but Viper has had some time. Viper now, he already has armor on his range units because he's Korean, so he'll take a very favorable engagement there, killing off the spears from Dark. And then Dark miss micros here. This is what I mean, right? Like, it's just simply so much harder to play the galley approach. If you can do it, it is superior, but that's what Viper, and Viper needs to keep that in mind. Like, I think Viper needs to actually be taking more land engagements so he can benefit more on land. Or wait, no, benefit more on water is what I meant. You know what I mean. The galleys from Dark here, though, looping around the other way. And obviously Dark has a lot to pay attention to in the middle right now. But this should be the end of Viper's fish. But Viper's clicked up to Castle Age. Well ahead of Dark. Dark is a pretty imbalanced eco. He does have more workers. He has collected more resources, but with Viper faster to Castle Age with this balance, look at how balanced it is. He's got the perfect res across the board. I think Viper could drop the second TC. Could easily catch up in the worker count, and this could still be really good for Viper. Also could make a couple turtle ships, too. 2 turtle ships might be able to completely take the water. And now Dark is actually adding some scouts here. Interesting. So he'll add more scouts, multiple scouts to the north. Viper's scout, I think, is out there. I think it died, actually. I don't know where. But it must have been scouting the map, right? But Viper, I think he'll just add a knight to apply a bit of pressure to this area. And then he'll just boom. Just needs to be really careful with this area now. Like, now Viper won't be able to evacuate, right? Dark spots Viper's range units here. Dark really needs a market right now. And Viper's about to be in castle. Viper's fine, guys. No res collected. I know the score, the score line for the series doesn't look good for Viper. But this actually feels like a situation which Viper can manage quite nicely. You would expect that anyways. Let's see. He does queue up 2 turtles. He does have 2 knights on the way as well. The turtles will aim to retake water. Dark really needs that market. So there it is. Also, I love how there's 3 mule carts here. Like, players just can't micro the mule carts, so instead they they have to add extra ones. Scouts from Dark might not be something Viper expects. He notices that, but this villager maybe needs to choose a different job. Somehow he'll survive. I don't think using the knights against the galleys is a great play, but Viper's not trying to do that. He's trying to send the knights to kill this. And so those galleys pay off a little bit there for Dark, and Dark clicks up. Knight is here, though. There's so much to pay attention to, and the knight has now been trapped. That's kind of funny. Dark has to be careful not to free the knight by chopping that tree, but the turtles now have popped out of the docks. Turtle number 1 is over here, 0 kills. Turtle number 2 is protecting the crossing. And now Viper drops TC number 2. Dark made 2 spears, walls them in, and will now kill the knight. That's funny. That's really well played. And if he really wanted to, he could actually research pikemen right now. A concern I'm seeing for Dark is he doesn't have any farms, and you do really need that eventually. He's also losing his range units in the middle, and there's just a lot he needs to focus on right now. Dark has completely forgotten about those ranged units. Great engagement from Viper. And Dark will find a villager pick on Viper's hunters. Not bad, but turtle ships are on the way from Viper. I don't know. I don't think the turtle ships will be enough because Dark's committing so much more to water. But let's see. Feudal Age demos? Dude, turtles. That was not worth it for Dark, man. That was not worth it. What do you need, 4 to hit the turtle? I mean, Viper's turtles are enough. This is even worse for Dark than I thought. And Dark has more knights to deal with here in a second. You can tell he's under pressure. Viper seems to really have found his groove now. There's the TC. Viper will... He just has so much control now. There's the ranged units that are left over here, plus the knight that did so much damage before. There's still the turtle ship around. There's now a turtle ship over here. Viper's like, I will not be swept. Rule number 1 of TTL, avoid getting swept if you want to survive. Viper's obviously got bigger aspirations. The turtle will go down. Dark will maintain water control. This is still not pretty. Dark might need a couple knights of his own, and he is adding that. And I think Dark will hold. Just barely. And now Viper drops a castle. So 2 TCs. Again, Viper's farming eco is fantastic. He's got the worker lead now. The villagers do what they can there. Careful, Dark. Oh, boy. He just built a mule cart on this gold, and the villagers pad that way. So that's a couple more dead vills. Just so much for Dark to focus on right now. The one thing he's lacking, though, is really just farming around that TC. Viper is playing this like a home map, right? Viper clearly seems to be in great shape with evac here. Hard as well picked evac in his series in this group. And I asked him, I didn't get a response yet. I asked him if he trained prior to TTL or if it was mainly a result of being prepped for Hidden Cup, because this was a Hidden Cup map. Dark didn't play in the main event. Hart did, Viper did. I imagine it's a result of them being really prepared for it for that map. Wow, that is an ambitious warrior priest. Holy crap. Dark thought he had a chance of getting that relic. Are you kidding me, dude? That was never going to happen. But he wasn't expecting Viper to have a castle. Viper now has war wagons. And Viper... I mean, if the timing was a little bit different there, he could be losing these vills, but he's still going to advance forward and drop a castle on that front hill. If this goes up, Dark is in big trouble. Because Dark will already find it extremely difficult to pressure Viper over here. If there's then a castle on his face as well, I think good night. The Knights from Dark did not see those vills. Viper actually canceled the castle foundation. And he's going to place it even further forward. But there's nothing here from Dark to stop this. Oh, the Knights are on the way back. But Viper has that tracked. I think you just have to evacuate. It's what the map is called for a reason. Evacuate. Viper's still sending vills this direction, and there's Navy here, but the Navy doesn't have ballistics, so she's actually going to survive. What a legend. She didn't take any damage. What a beast. That's a story to tell. And Viper snagging Devotion because he knows his opponent will rely on monks. I think guard towers will become a big issue now for Dark if his plan is monk defense. Viper even has light cav too. Viper's getting Devotion now. Like, Viper's doing everything. So there will be towers on both sides from Viper, it seems. And, wow, the War Wagon's actually tanking quite a bit against the Galleons here. So maybe Viper could also mix in some turtles with that. And here come the vills from Viper. It's a tale as old as time. Viper drops a game or two that people don't expect. And discussions on how old is too old for competitive gaming begin. I think Doubt will have something to say about that conversation here in a second, guys, when Doubt plays Sebastian. Viper's first game of the day. And second game of the day. We're pretty good. Honestly, it's just Dark. Like, put respect on the name. Dark's played like an absolute beast here. But I don't know about this castle, man. Speaking of Doubt, it's at 85%. There's a guard tower. There's war wagons. This is so painful. And okay, Dark will get this castle up. But now Viper... Well, actually... I'm not sure Viper's castle goes up here. Okay, Viper might not get this castle up. Oh boy. This is going to be really close. If Dark denies this castle, he's got a chance. He's converted war wagons and is using them. And the castle's denied! The castle is denied! Such a waste of stone for Viper. Now, I still think the position for Viper is good. He's got a really healthy eco. All this pressure has been his opponent's base and not his own. But maybe this is a way for Dark to get a little bit of momentum. I just wonder, like, what is your late game comp as the Armenians here? It's tough for me to find a great option compared to Koreans. Viper, his war wagons feel uncounterable right now unless there are monks around. Viper still hasn't lost his dock, so he can make the occasional turtle. Watch this turtle go. I think this turtle can 1v6 those galleys. Almost feels like Viper's being patient, like he wants to come back and finish this castle. But honestly, I wouldn't mind to see TC number 3, TC number 4 from Viper. You may consider Imp here. And oh man, Viper snipes both those monks. Devotion paying off. And Dark not getting the conversion. There goes the turtle. They fire so slow. Okay, well, not as exciting as I thought it was going to be. Every time I see this unit, I somehow expect a little bit more from them. I mean, they can be really strong, but I think it's just adding to the chaos that Viper's dishing out right now. The Viper's on the way to Imp. Wow, so he could, in theory, make trebs from here? And he's building another castle, and he can make trebs from here. Dark needs rams, I think, to somehow push back these castle positions. He will catch up economically. He'll probably still maintain water control, but he needs rams. There's the Siege Workshop. I wonder if he saw Viper's score dip. Viper's score did dip quite significantly. Dark with the quick walls. He says, how do you like it, Viper? Viper needs to delete these wagons if the monks make it over. That's still really good damage for Viper, though. Killing a lot of ills. Harassing the eco. And these composite bowmen, it feels like they tickle the war wagons. In theory, they should be pretty good against them because war wagons rely on armor, but they also have a lot of HP. It just takes a long time to kill them. Dark is making rams from here, so if he takes out this castle from Viper, things get interesting. But then Viper was able to have 2 castles on this side. It's not going to be easy for him to have rams on both sides. Which means that Dark is going to lose his castle. He'll lose his TC. He'll lose his relics. Like, he'll lose a lot. Viper's towers also will become keeps. He actually only has 1 tower that's up right now. So it's not, like, the biggest thing. He did get Yipseong as well to add the extra range to the towers. But Viper's just thinking long term. He might not have many of them right now, but he obviously will make more. Dark's eco over the past few moments has improved. His water control is still something that he can rely on long term here. But I think this much improved eco is just about to get significantly worse once Viper has trebs here. And the war wagons are just still so strong. Nice little counter raid here from Dark. Making things messy for Viper's eco. But Viper's war wagon can probably deal with that. There are the rams from Dark, though. Wow, so Viper actually clicks conscription. So he's just hoping this castle stays up long enough to research that. And Dark just taps out. I think Dark... It wasn't this. Dark still probably eventually takes out this castle at some point. But it's all of this that becomes the problem for him. And so, a great series for Dark. I think you're really happy with that. You look at the group, which we'll look at in a second. It's gonna... You'd be hard-pressed to find many people that would predict that Viper would lose 2 games to other players. So if this becomes a competition for Dark and Daniel and Valis and freaking Andy, let's say, to fight for that 3rd and 4th place spot, I think Dark has a bit of an edge in that fight. The other thing, too, aside from that, Dark just played really, really good today. I think this game, he had the best opening possible. Unfortunately, the execution wasn't perfect when things got messy and feudal. But like the galley opening, the ranged opening, the spearmint, that was amazing. So a great result, but also great things to come for Dark in future weeks. Things to look out for and be excited for. And then obviously for Viper, he'll want more wins, and I'm sure he'll get them. But good for Viper, at least he avoided the sweep. Res Collected was pretty close. For Viper, it was all about the stone. Castle, the towers. Really good result for Dark. So, yeah, that's pretty crazy. Would not have predicted that one. 4 more rounds for Viper and Dark. We'll see where they end up. Will Viper win his group again like he did the first 3 seasons? Or, like, how's Heart feeling right now? Heart's like, ooh, I could maybe win the group. So, let's look real quick at what the group looks like, because I think we're still at that point where people need reminders. So, we're talking about Group D. And there we have it. So we still haven't seen Freak Andy and Valis play. They play... Oh, they're a final series today, actually. So we'll close out Group D today. But Heart, 3 wins from the first round. Dark, 2 wins. Viper just 1. And then Daniel, of course, 0. Freak Andy and Valis will get some wins on the board. So there's no world where Viper is 3rd. Viper realistically is going to be like tied for 5th place or something at the conclusion of the day. So